Hello, welcome back to the channel. Well, I'm still here anyway, for the moment that is, so fingers crossed and all that. But thanks everyone who threw their support out on the video I did the other day. Really means a lot. It's really basically the only reason I do YouTube now, just to keep in contact with you guys. I've got the best subscribers, I really have. Anyway, talking to subscribers, one of my subs, Joe Embleton, wrote, "Hey Stripey, I was wondering, what Bruce Lee documentaries would you recommend? A wee video on that would be awesome, because there's so many out there, it's head bursting." Ain't that the truth? I have A Warrior's Journey, The Immortal Dragon, In Pursuit of the Dragon, and I Am Bruce Lee and The Lost Interviews, my favourite. I remember one I used to have on VHS as part of a box set called The Legend, which was the first documentary I ever saw. It was the first documentary on Bruce Lee I ever saw, Joe. Amazing. It is a good one. It's really difficult to know if there are any more out there worth buying. At some point, you'll just be watching the same information come at you. Love the video, mate. Thanks very much. I know what you mean, mate. There literally is loads and loads and loads and loads of Bruce Lee documentaries. All loads. So, it's quite a good question, actually. And I can understand where you're coming from. I really, really can, because many times I've bought one of them ones, you think, oh, that looks new, you get it home, and it's literally everything you've seen before. And sometimes pretty ropey quality as well. So, right, as you know, as everybody knows, Bruce Lee really only had 4.5 films. I'll say 5, will include Game of Death, but realistically, there's just the 4.5. You know, there's the Big Boss, 1971. Love the Big Boss. Fist of Fury, 1972. Chen Zhen, the ultimate martial art movie, really. Talk about screen presence on that film. Wow. The Way of the Dragon, Bruce Lee's baby, shot in Rome when he fights Chuck Norris in the Colosseum. 1972 also. He had a busy old year in 1972, Bruce. And of course 1973, Into the Dragon. The ultimate martial art movie and my personal favourite film of all time. And of course Game of Death, which was filmed late 72, early 73, before Warner Brothers come calling, knocking on Raymond Chow's door saying, we want a bit of this legend that's going on. And that's kind of it, really. Yes, you can watch The Green Hornet, which was a TV series, which is kind of like Batman, really. Kind of cool, actually. I like The Green Hornet. And obviously he's done guest appearances on Here Comes the Bride, Longstreet, and obviously Ironside. And he made a couple of small appearances in movies, and obviously the one that I love the most, he only has 2 little scenes in it, is James Garner's Marlowe, 1969. Such a cool cat, James Garner. But people just, I mean, Bruce Lee died literally not long before Enter the Dragon come out. And that made him an international superstar, but he was gone. And people just wanted more Bruce Lee. They just couldn't get enough. So, what do film companies do when they see a market? They got a load of lookalikes coming out with similar names to Bruce. I'll read a couple. Bruce Lee, he's probably the most famous one, or Lee. It's not spelled Lee, as in L-E-E, it's L-I. Dragon Lee, he cracks me up, but he has got a good physique, but he's not Bruce Lee. Bruce Ty, Brute Lee, and here we go. This is my favourite. Bruce Lee. I know, that is hilarious, isn't it? But yeah, these are all, and the movies they starred in had very similar sounding titles to the movies. They're Re-Enter the Dragon, Enter the Three Dragons, Return of Bruce, Enter Another Dragon, Return of the Fists of Fury. I'm not sure if that one stars Jackie Chan actually. Enter the Game of Death, Exit the Dragon, Enter the Tiger, and The Clones of Bruce Lee, and Enter the Fat Dragon. I know, they just couldn't get enough, and some are worth watching, most of them ain't, they're just awful, but none of them have got a patch on the man, they really don't. So if you want more Bruce, if you've watched the movies to bits, then you look for a good documentary. And like we said earlier, you know, there's literally loads to choose from. Now, are any of them any good? Well, there are a few. But before I do my top 5, I'm going to give you 5, Joe, that I think I would recommend if someone wanted to watch something and they've just seen the Bruce Lee movies and wanted to watch. There's 5 that I would say without a shadow of a doubt, but there's a few that do need a mention, I believe. And the first one is the Blood and Steel. Now, a lot of these documentaries are on YouTube, and as I'm wording it, if I find that particular documentary on YouTube, I will link it down below with the title above it, so that way you can check it out. Right, and the first one is Blood and Steel, the making of Enter the Dragon, and that's was directed by Paul Heller. Obviously, he had a lot to do with producing Enter the Dragon, etc., etc. The next one is The Curse of the Dragon by Tom Kwan and Fred Weintraub. Well, obviously, Fred Weintraub made Enter the Dragon, you know, so it's narrated by George Takei, and this documentary chronicles the life and death of Bruce Lee. Most of them do. Some of them vary off to fighting styles, pre-Hollywood and stuff like that, but that's quite a nice one, The Curse of the Dragon. Right, another one I really liked, really enjoyed this. It's called How Bruce Lee Changed the World. I actually have How the Beatles Changed the World as well. They're great. They're absolutely great. This was directed by Steve Webb, and it explores the amazing multitude of ways that Bruce Lee, the first international Asian superstar, had influence on pop culture. So it was kind of a nice take on it. Really interesting. Right, another one worth mentioning is a 1999 TV series called Famous Families, and it's called The Lees, Actions Speak Louder. And I thought that was quite nice, a little bit up close and personal, but generally it's mostly stuff we've seen before or information we've heard before, so nothing really majorly new. Next up, Tale of the Dragon. Now, this was a Channel 5 documentary. Obviously, it's I'll give you the synopsis quick. The legendary martial arts master Bruce Lee is profiled in this documentary, featuring interviews with Bruce Lee's wife, Linda, and daughter, Shannon. Another really interesting, quite informative documentary. The next one up is called Martial Arts Superstar, and that's directed by Paul Oremland. Can't pronounce his name. This was aired on Channel 5, and I will put a link to that one down below. Another one that was really quite interesting. And of course, The Real Bruce Lee. This was directed by Kim Malkovich, but it was produced by Seraphim Karalexis. And it features 4 Bruce Lee films done in sepia tone, and these are when he was a child actor. So even though on the box we guarantee you the real Bruce Lee, it was when he was a kid. And the films were Bad Boy, Orphan Sam, Kid Chung, and The Carnival. And they are quite interesting. I mean, even as a kid, he does the nose thing, and you can see it's Bruce, but it's not what we want to see, really. You know, when he was older, the charisma, the fighting, and the philosophy, and all that. And after the 4 short Bruce Lee movies, you have like a 3-minute showcase of Bruce Lee, who is probably the most famous Bruce Lee double, if you like, clone, and then a feature film featuring Dragon Lee, and it's The Last Fist of Fury. Now, I actually like this film. He's a bit wooden. He is a bit wooden, and his head's a little bit large, and you know, and they jump up in the woods and go along like that. It's crazy, but I actually quite like it. So they're worth a mention. Now, so here are my top 5. Right, number 5 is The Legend. And this is the one that you watched, Joe, on VHS, and this was the first documentary I ever watched of Bruce Lee. It was the original Golden Harvest tribute to Bruce Lee, and it is wonderful. Sorry about the cars, by the way. I'm in my office, I've got people coming home, but I wanted to try and get this video done. This one also has The Man, the Legend, so you get two for the price of one. But The Legend, wonderful documentary, directed by Leonard Ho, 1984. Right, the next one, 1994, this is The Lost Interviews. And this is wonderful. It was the Pierre Burton show, recorded in 1971, and it's probably the only, as far as I'm aware, interview done in English. This is lovely, and you've got some phone call sound of Bruce talking and stuff. And I actually have this one on VHS. Got it when it first came out. So that's quite nice and comes highly recommended, but obviously, Joe, I know you got that one, but for anyone else who's watching. Right, next one is the 1994 documentary, The Immortal Dragon. I used to have one with a thick case. Look at this little thin one. I don't know whatever happened to that thick one, but this is wonderful. This is so good, and this is by Jude Gerard Priest. And it examines his early years in Hong Kong and his journey to Hollywood, his role in Kato on the TV series The Green Hornet, and his years as a martial arts instructor to the stars. So that's quite well worth watching. Right, the next one is in my Enter the Dragon box set, as you know, John Little's wonderful documentary, A Warrior's Journey. I think that was released in the year 2000. And this is wonderful. You got loads of never before seen footage of Bruce, and plus this is the very first time I ever saw the outtakes and some scenes out of the Game of Death. It literally just blew me mind. Obviously now we have the full 40-minute Game of Death that Bruce actually intended, that he filmed, and it's just for that it's worth. I'd rather watch that than the movie. Although, like I've explained before, with Game of Death, with the music, and it's a bit of a labour, a bit of a, what do you call them? Guilty pleasure. A bit of a guilty pleasure. I'm sorry if my computer's making a racket and all. Honestly, it's a nightmare. I do miss my ramble room. Right, getting back to it. So, my last documentary is obviously the best one. Well, I think so anyway. Although they're all really good in their own way. I think if you're a Bruce Lee fan, you got to have them all, really. I Am Bruce Lee. I went to see this at the cinema in 2012. This is directed by Peter McCormick. Bruce Lee is universally recognised as a pioneer who elevated martial arts in film to an art form. And now this documentary will reveal why Bruce Lee's flame burns brighter now than the day he died over 3 decades ago. 4 decades now? Wow. Obviously, these are my opinions. And opinions are subjective on film, and it's an opinion. But they're the ones I would highly recommend. I will put a list to all the other documentaries along the bottom there, just so you can sort of see. But there's quite a lot, as you know. So, what do you think of my top 5 Bruce Lee documentaries? What's your favourite Bruce Lee doc? Have I missed any? Well, I hope you enjoyed that, Joe. Obviously, I would like to have spent a little bit more time delving in and all that, but there's so much stuff to go through. I mean, literally, I've got The Unbeatable Bruce Lee, The Intercepting Fist, Death by Misadventure. Oh, this is an interesting one. The Circle of Iron. This was originally called The Silent Flute, and Bruce Lee helped, well, he wrote this with Sterling Silliphant, I do believe. Not really Bruce Lee, but his name's in the title. So I hope you like that one, mate. And I hope you all did, Bruce Lee fans out there. Like I said, drop in the comments down below any Bruce Lee documentary that I haven't mentioned or ain't on that ridiculous list that went by earlier. Yeah, always interested in that. Like, share this video, please. It does help the channel. As you know, they've not removed me yet, so fingers crossed. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back with another ramble real soon. Take care now.